We're going to be talking about rejuvenating your career by selling your practice. Let's start with how you believe selling your practice could rejuvenate a principal lawyer's career.
Well, a lot of lawyers assume that selling their practice is the end of their career, but nothing could be further from the truth. Now, it is the case that selling your practice can be the end of your career if you choose it to be the end of your career. But selling your practice can be the beginning of a new phase in your legal career.
And what would this phase look like, Pete?
The great challenge of being the principal owner of a legal practice, which is obvious, is all the responsibility for the financial side, the admin, the staffing. Now, if you sell your practice, someone else takes over the responsibility for the financial side, the staffing, and so many other aspects of running a practice that you may not want to be involved in anymore. So what do you do when those tasks are taken away from you? You can focus on doing the work which has the highest value, which is legal work based on all of the experience that you've gained over the decades. You're there in the practice that you have always been the most important person in that practice. You are the most important person now, and after the sale, you can still be the most important person. In a sense, of course, the most important person focusing on the work that you are good at, that you like to do, without all the other things that go on that you have to worry about as a principal of a law firm.
And is it right to say that that is really part of our process? That is your and my process in selling a practice. The consultancy agreement is really important. It's important to actually satisfy both the purchaser and the vendor with regards to what's going to happen after the sale.
I think that there's a huge misconception out there that we are, focused on selling practices and getting goodwill value, which we are. But the reality is that we spend just as much time on that aspect as we do on negotiating a consultancy package, arrangement, whatever you want to call it, for the principal who is selling the practice. And the two go together. They all work together.
I suppose ultimately, with that consultancy agreement, what we'd like to impress upon people who are considering selling is that they can pick and choose. We can come to an arrangement whereby they can work 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 if they really want to, and be recompensed accordingly.
Absolutely. And so we spend a lot of time at the outset, before we start talking to any prospects, we spend a lot of time with the principal, understanding what's important to them. Is it important to have, a month's holiday a year, or 2 months maybe, or to work 4 days a week, or to have flexible days, or half days? What's important? A golf day on a Wednesday. Stan, which is the traditional golf day? Is there still one anymore?
It can be any day of the week, can be a traditional golf day.
As long as it's not raining, right?
As long as it's not raining, exactly. So what we're saying is the principal will achieve greater flexibility, less stress, and a more important day-to-day focus on the matters that they really are interested in and enjoy doing.
And the clients that they know very well who want them to help them. And yes, someone will say, well, what about how secure is my position once I sell the practice? Is some young gun going to push me aside? Well, I don't think so, because the clients still want the principal if they can get the principal. Sure, if the principal there is not available, then they'll be serviced by other lawyers in the firm, and they will be happy to be serviced by those other lawyers, because those other lawyers will be keen to please, to retain those clients, and to do a good job for them. So it's a win-win situation all round. And to be connected ongoing in the firm that you've built, it just seems perfectly natural. And the last thing a buyer would want is for the principal to be pushed aside and be disgruntled. And it just doesn't happen like that in the real world, usually.
I think people who are selling, lawyers who are selling their practices need to remember that they carry an enormous amount of knowledge and the relationships with them, which is always the concern. Normally, the concern for buyers is that the principal will disappear. So for everyone out there who is balking at the prospect of selling because they're doing themselves out of work that they really enjoy doing, think again, contact us. Consulting and coming to arrangements like this with principal lawyers who are wanting to sell is part and parcel of our daily work. Peter, you concentrate on the consulting in the business. What we're saying is make the phone call. It's an easy phone call, a 10-minute phone call, or shoot us an email just to have a chat about what the possibilities are for your practice and for you going forward after you sell. Thanks, Peter.
Thank you, Stan.